On November 23, 1955, torrential rains turned Jerusalem's Kidron Valley into a raging river. The Gethsemane Grotto, a small cave long revered as the place of Jesus' agony, was submerged under nearly 4 meters of water. The flood left devastation, but it also uncovered revelations that would reshape our understanding of one of Christianity's most sacred moments. Nestled on the slopes of the Mount of Olives, this modest cave had always been a place of quiet reverence. The name Gethsemane comes from the Hebrew Aramaic gat, press or crush, and shemen, oil, literally olive press. Archaeologist Matthew Gray explains that in 1st century Israel, such caves were vital for the olive harvest. Workers would gather olives from nearby trees, then crush them inside with a massive stone wheel before pressing them for oil. So why would an olive press be the setting for Jesus' most agonizing hours? The Gospels provide clues. Mark and Matthew name Gethsemane, Luke refers to the Mount of Olives, and John mentions only a garden. The phrase Garden of Gethsemane never appears in the original texts, suggesting the setting was more than just a grove. It may have been a cave with an olive press, aligning perfectly with the archaeological evidence revealed after the flood. There's only one place in Jerusalem matching that description, venerated for over 1,600 years. Since the 4th century, pilgrims have visited a north-facing cave on the Mount of Olives, converted into a chapel adorned with mosaics and an altar. About 90 meters away stands the Church of All Nations, later associated with Jesus' prayer, while the grotto became linked to his arrest. But were these traditions based on fact? The flood of 1955 set the stage for answers. When the waters receded, the grotto lay in ruins, its mosaics, religious artifacts, and 900-year-old floor damaged. Franciscan archaeologist Virgilio Corbo stepped in to restore the site, but his work went beyond repairs. In the rubble, Corbo uncovered evidence that confirmed the grotto's ancient function as an olive press, strengthening its connection to the gospel accounts. Layers of history emerged, signs of early Christian worship, architectural remnants from centuries past, and clues that this very spot had been sacred to believers since the earliest days of the faith. The disaster had, ironically, preserved the past. What began as a flood became a revelation, anchoring the Gethsemane Grotto, not just in tradition, but in tangible, historical reality, a place where the agony of Jesus may have unfolded amid the scent of crushed olives and the shadows of an ancient press. Virgilio Corbo and his team began clearing the sediment and debris left by the 1955 flood. As they lifted the chapel's centuries-old floor, they uncovered something unexpected: dozens of Christian and Muslim tombs carved directly into the rock. Some dated back over 1,000 years, showing that the grotto had been revered by multiple faiths for centuries. Generations had sought to be buried near the place where Jesus endured his agony, marking it as a site of deep spiritual convergence. The most striking find came when Virgilio examined the cave's structure. In the space where the altar once stood, he discovered a circular niche carved into the wall, its size and wear matching a 1st century olive press. The wooden beam was long gone, the stones worn, but the niche was undeniable proof that olives were once crushed here to produce oil for Jerusalem. He also reopened the grotto's original northern entrance, 5 meters wide, leading directly to an olive grove, just as the Gospels suggest. Then came a surprise. While excavating the southeastern corner, a wall collapsed, revealing a hidden chamber untouched since the Crusades. Virgilio thought it might be a medieval storage area, but its sloped limestone floor was etched with grooves and depressions whose purpose he could not explain. He documented everything, leaving behind a mystery that would intrigue future researchers. Why would Jesus choose such a place for his final night of freedom? The answer lies in the Passover context. In the 1st century, pilgrimage festivals swelled Jerusalem's population. The Torah required pilgrims to remain in the city or nearby until morning. The Mount of Olives, close to the temple, was a natural refuge. In spring, olive presses like this one stood empty, offering shelter from seasonal rains. Jesus and his disciples traveling from Bethany likely chose the grotto for both practical and spiritual reasons. An ordinary worksite became a sanctuary. Think about it. How often do we find refuge in humble spaces? For Jesus, this olive press became a place to pray, wrestle with fear, and prepare for what was to come. Its silent press and earthy aroma remind us that the divine often meets us in the ordinary. Decades later, archaeologist Matthew Gray revisited Virgilio's Italian reports. Studying the evidence, he confirmed the grotto's function as an olive press and connected it to first-century life and ritual. His analysis reinforced its authenticity while revealing new details that deepened our understanding of Gethsemane, not only as a historical site, but as a symbol of sacrifice, purity, and the preservation of what is precious. One simple but crucial question drove Gray's research forward. If the Gethsemane grotto was truly an olive press, where was the Crushing Basin, an essential part of the process? Virgilio Corbo had noted limestone columns left by first-century workers as structural supports, but he never located the central basin. Years later, Matthew Gray developed a new theory. Near the original northern entrance, Virgilio had recorded what he thought was the base of a fourth column. Gray proposed it was actually the foundation of the Crushing Basin. Its location and size matched perfectly with first-century olive press designs. Over the centuries, pilgrims likely dismantled the basin, taking pieces as relics, a common practice at holy sites. Gray's reinterpretations didn't stop there. Virgilio had documented an underground chamber reached by an external staircase, calling it a water cistern. Gray reclassified it as a mikveh, a Jewish ritual bath for purification. In the first century, anyone producing oil for the Jerusalem temple had to remain ritually pure. Even the mysterious hidden chamber Virgilio uncovered after a wall collapse gained new meaning. Similar sloped floors with grooves had been found at other oil storage sites. These channels directed spilled oil toward depressions that once held large jars, ensuring none was wasted. In a society where olive oil was vital for food, light, and worship, preserving it was paramount, an echo of humanity's broader struggle to protect what is precious. This olive press imagery gives Gethsemane deep symbolic power. Director Mel Gibson has said it influenced his depiction in The Passion of the Christ. Just as olives are crushed under immense weight to yield oil, Jesus bore the crushing burden of humanity's sins. Freshly pressed oil often has a reddish tint, recalling Luke's gospel description of his sweat like drops of blood, a rare condition called hematidrosis. Picture the scene. Under a full moon, Jesus and his disciples left the city after the Last Supper, crossing the Kidron Valley. The night air carried the echoes of psalms they had sung. To their right, monumental tombs shone in the moonlight. Ahead, the temple glowed. They reached the familiar grotto, silent in spring when no pressing took place, its stone still holding the day's warmth, the air rich with the scent of olives. The disciples, weary from the Passover meal, rested near the idol press. Jesus, burdened in spirit, told them he must speak to the Father. These same men had seen Jairus' daughter raised, and the Transfiguration's glory. Now they would witness his deepest anguish. Walking further into the grove, he stopped, face drawn, voice heavy. "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Then he moved a short distance away, close enough to be near, but far enough to be alone. He collapsed with his face to the ground and began to pray, his words filled with urgency. The Gospel of Luke records that his sweat became like drops of blood falling to the earth, a rare condition known as hematidrosis, triggered by overwhelming stress. An angel appeared to strengthen him, yet the immense burden of the sacrifice ahead, bearing the weight of all humanity's sins and sorrows, remained. From the valley below, the faint glimmer of torches, broke the darkness. "Here comes my betrayer," Jesus said, pointing toward the approaching light. Matthew 26:46 describes what followed: an armed crowd, led by Judas, stepping out from the trees. With a kiss, Judas handed over his master. The road to the cross had begun. The scene at Gethsemane is not simply a record of suffering. It mirrors the universal struggles of the human heart. We all encounter moments of betrayal, fear, and doubt. Like Jesus, we face the loneliness of critical decisions when even our closest companions feel far away. Gethsemane teaches that true strength often comes through surrender, not to defeat, but to a greater calling. The cave, with its olive press, stands as a powerful metaphor. Just as olives are crushed to release oil, Jesus endured crushing spiritual and emotional pressure, offering the light, healing, and redemption that oil has symbolized for centuries. Director Mel Gibson, deeply moved by this imagery, used it in The Passion of the Christ to communicate the magnitude of that sacrifice, portraying Gethsemane as the essence of human endurance. The archaeological work of Virgilio Corbo and Matthew Gray has confirmed the grotto's authenticity. Scholar Joan Taylor, whose research influenced Gray, remarked, "Of all the traditional Christian sites in Jerusalem, the Gethsemane grotto is among the most likely to be genuine. The olive press niche, the mikveh, the storage chamber with grooves and basins, all combine to create a vivid picture of a place that was both a center of labor and a sacred refuge." These discoveries bridge us directly to the first century, letting us imagine walking alongside Jesus on that pivotal night. But Gethsemane is more than a site. It's an invitation to personal reflection. The oil produced there was used for light, anointing, and healing, symbols of the grace that continues to flow from the sacrifice that began in that quiet cave beneath the olive trees. It is a legacy of light and darkness, hope in despair. What does Gethsemane mean to you? Picture yourself among the olive trees, carrying the weight of your own burdens. Have you ever found a place, physical or within your own heart, where you could face your fears? Gethsemane urges us to seek that inner light, to hold on to resilience when the world seems to crumble. Its weathered stones, marked by centuries of devotion, whisper a timeless truth. Suffering can become transformative. Through Jesus' sacrifice, symbolized by the olive press, we find the promise of renewal, forgiveness, and healing. As Isaiah foretold, "Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering." Isaiah 53:4. May the story of Gethsemane inspire you to discover the strength to shine your light, even in your darkest hour. If you've valued this message, I encourage you to watch the video now on your screen, where I reveal another side of Christ's death rarely shown in film or television. See you in the next video. Thank you.